Welcome to the Grow Your Business and Grow Your Wealth podcast with Gary Hiltz. Gary is an expert in helping business owners put together a plan that will provide a better future for their businesses, themselves, and their families. On the podcast, Gary interviews other professionals who share his vision, and together they share secrets and strategies any business owner can use to build a better financial foundation for your business and your life.
Hey, welcome back to the podcast. This week, my guest is Peter Hiltz, and he is a wealth manager with Kingsview Partners. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, Peter. So, kind of give us your backstory. Where'd you come from, and what made you get into being a wealth manager?
You know, it's kind of funny. I always go back to when I grew up. We're in a small town, Cincinnati, small, big town. So I was born and raised here in Cincinnati. Went to the University of Kentucky, go Wildcats, and after college, came back. I worked for the Cincinnati Bengals for 5 seasons, and it was a great time over there. Thought I was going to stay in sports, interviewed some other places, and growing up, I always watched my father call a stockbroker, and that's kind of what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And in 2008, I got into the financial industry, and great timing. There was nowhere to go but up from there.
Yeah, that was not exactly a good time to be breaking in, huh?
No, sir.
So what are some of the common challenges that you see people and business owners dealing with right now?
Well, I mean, I think challenges, when you look at that, I think that the biggest problem business owners have is time. Mm-hmm. Time is money. They are pulled in so many different directions. As a small business owner, you're wearing all the hats, and you have to figure out what type of team you can build around you and what type of advisors you can have surrounding you to support your team and find good people to help your business grow and maybe transition out to the future.
Yeah. So, in doing that, because again, time is a very important commodity in which we probably have less of. What are some of the mistakes that you're seeing people make because they don't have the time?
Well, I think that they start believing that what they've done in the past has always worked. They're not open to change sometimes. And sometimes when you've not really looked at, certain issues that it feels like you can just sweep them under the rug. When you take a hard look, sometimes those problems have existed for a long time and things need to change. I think that sometimes people feel comfortable with the way things have been done for 35, 40 years, and sometimes there needs to be a change, and that could lead to some problems. I guess I don't want to talk too much about this, but it gives me an example of a client that we're bringing on right now. They've been in business for over 40 years. They're transitioning the business to 3rd generation, and there's been a lot of great planning done around that. But when you look at it under the hood, there are a lot of things that need to be tightened up a little bit.
How are you going to help them overcome these struggles that they've had or get things tightened up, as you say?
We start every meeting with trying to figure out really what's important to them, what they want to talk about that day, and the conversation kind of evolves, and to the point when we start engaging with trying to figure out how to solve, call it the problem or help a client reach their goals. It's about building a team around that. So they already have their attorneys, they already have their CPA, they may have an insurance person working with them, they might have a financial advisor or a banker that's worked with them before. What we do is we come in, we act as a quarterback. We sit down, we shake hands with the insurance agent who might have some financial planning capability. We shake hands with the CPA. We shake hands with the attorneys, and we work together as a cohesive team.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I always preach is about, letting your team of professionals talk. Because, there's that plan that's been put together. And if the professionals aren't talking, then you can't effectively implement that plan. So that's definitely something that you know I preach all the time. So it's good that you guys are doing that to help the owners, um, and helping them grow their business and grow their wealth. What are some of the strategies that you use to help them, move forward?
I mean, when you think of it, we tailor our plan to what the client needs. So, I mean, in terms of strategies, obviously, we're going to look at people's risk tolerances. We're going to figure out their time horizons and try to match an asset allocation or one of our strategies um, to their portfolio liking and try to help their assets grow. We also will take a really hard look at, their estate planning strategy. Say, okay, well, what can we do to hopefully minimize the potential tax impact on something? What can we do to ensure that they're not, their heirs aren't sitting in a courtroom trying to figure this out after the fact?
Right.
And then we also will sit down with a tax advisor, a CPA, and plan accordingly and try to figure out different vehicles or different buckets that are tax efficient that we could help our clients out with.
Right. Looking at some of the complex things that business owners are dealing with. We have a lot of, I'm going to say we have a lot of uncertainty right now, with what is going to happen, moving forward from a tax standpoint. How are you guys, I guess, what do you guys do different to help the business owners and stuff that nobody else is doing?
Right. So, I mean, we have access to, um, you know, I, let me just go back and say that we have access to tools that I feel like some of our competitors don't. What I'd like to say is the fact that I came from a bigger firm.
Right.
It was a great experience. But when I transitioned to my independent firm in 2017, I found that we have more tools available for planning to help with more complex financial and business planning needs. Really, what sets us apart, I would say, it's as simple as ego. I
Right.
think you would have to say, we put our client first. We're not worried about AUM. We're really worried about um, helping others achieving their goals. It's not about me.
Right.
Really, it's about the client and making sure that we can help them sell a business, retire, maybe spend more time with their family.
What was it that made you decide to go out and be independent, as compared to continue working with a larger firm?
Honestly, um, I wanted to own my own business. I really, um, you know, I loved the Wirehouse. It was something where I felt like I could knock on someone's door and, uh, you know, ask for advice. Right now, I've got a team of people that I can call for advice. But being able to own my own business meant so much to me. Um, being accountable, not only to myself, but to the goals that I set 2 weeks with my business coach.
Right.
I think that my clients found that it was very important. They saw that, I was going out, taking a risk and, building something that maybe that I could pass to my family or, you know, pass along just like my clients are selling their businesses to their families or someone who might be interested in taking over someday.
What advice would you have for somebody who is going to do what you're doing, transitioning from being an employee to being a business owner? What advice would you have for somebody who is thinking about doing that?
I would say do it. You know, that's a big leap of faith. Well, it's scary at first and sometimes in the middle. I mean, you're running a business. You know, I'm doing the client work. Um, you know, I'm in the business, but I'm also working on the business. So, you know, I've got to make sure that my technology is set up. I luckily have a support team to do that. Making sure that I didn't think that I would have to find an office, but you know, I was able to find an office. So, and then you're obviously, you know, doing accounts payable, accounts receivable. So you're running a business beyond the financial advisory business. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. What trends and things do you see here in 2025 that you think that business owners really need to pay attention to?
Well, I think right now, obviously the biggest one that we're looking at is going to happen on Monday, transition of power.
Right.
I think that's going to be very interesting to see what actually happens in Washington. You know, we'll see what happens. You know, from a business standpoint, hopefully we can maybe continue the tax cuts. Maybe that moves the needle a little bit. You know, from an estate planning standpoint, that could help a lot of people. On the other hand, who knows what the economic policies are going to be right now? We're talking about tariffs. Is that a good thing or bad thing? We're looking at, you know, from I guess, a geopolitical or a national security concept. You know, we're talking about Greenland or the Panama Canal right now. It's kind of, you know, 2025. I'm very excited for. You know, we still have to be very cognizant of, you know, everything with inflation. You know, we have to keep an eye on, you know, the unemployment rate right now and see where interest rates go. But I think that we can be very optimistic, and I just think that for a business owner, you know, they should be excited.
Right. If you got to go back and talk to your 17-year-old self, what advice would you give yourself?
Play more golf. You know, I would probably, you know, it's pretty funny because yesterday I met with a junior in high school. He's interested in the financial advisory services industry. He wants to do what we're doing
Sure.
or what I'm doing. And I think from a you know, accounting side, maybe something you'd be interested in pursuing something like you're doing. I guess that's a long way to get to the fact that maybe, I mean, I was always interested in finance, so I was reading the Wall Street Journal. I was, you know, reading finance books, but I think my 17-year self, I think I'd go back and say, you know, start networking with more people, more business people. Learn how to communicate with others. Be authentic. You know, I look back a little bit and wish that maybe I would have kept more in touch with some of the people I went to high school with, or in college, maybe kept in a little bit better touch with those colleagues. So I think it's more of a relationship thought than as opposed to an educational.
We've covered a bunch of stuff here in a short period of time. What do you wish I would have asked you that I didn't?
I guess that would be, you know, you asked how I got into the industry, but I guess it's inspired me to start my business. And it goes back to this is before I was 17. When I was just a kid, I was probably 8, 9, or 10, sitting in a car with my dad while he drives to the office, or he's dropping me off at school or picking me up from school, and he's calling a stockbroker.
Right.
That's really what got me interested in the business we're in. I'd go down to his office and we'd look at the Wall Street Journal, and we just go and look at tickers and try to figure out, from week to week or maybe a month to month, try to look to see where those stock prices went and why you would buy something or why you'd sell something. You'd look at a PE ratio and try to figure out, where those industries are moving. And I think that's the main reason I'm in my industry today. He's an attorney by trade, but it was just being able to say, hey, someone knows something about the stock market. It was kind of cool to see that. I want to follow in those footsteps.
Right. That's pretty cool. Peter, if people like what they hear and they want to reach out to you, how can they get in touch with you?
A great way to get in touch is obviously on LinkedIn. I've got a profile. It's easy to get my email address, which is philtz, HILTZ @kingsview.com. Or obviously just give me a call at 513-401-8513.
Great. Peter, I really appreciate your time today and enjoyed our conversation.
Hey, thanks, Gary. Appreciate it so much.
Sure. Hey, my guest was Peter Hiltz, and he's a wealth manager with Kingsview Partners. I'll see you guys next week.
49 faces looked to him in triumph. Over the last 12 months, they had each taken turns and promoted his business for a week at a time, driving over $987,342 in revenue. What if you had a network of 50 centers of influence who promoted your business every week for a year? Grab your copy of the #1 Amazon best-selling book, The Ultimate Guide to Growing Your Business with a Podcast, at 33% off the Amazon price by going to ultimatepodcastbook.com. Again, that website for 33% off the Amazon price is ultimatepodcastbook.com.